the corner. Goldsmith header scores! Woo!
Jones intercepts it. 1 second. Puts up a floater. And he got it. He got it.
Hello and welcome to BU30. I'm Millie Sauber.
And I'm Mark Pearson. Today's show, we have a full lineup for you. Andrew Schrabitz and Tyler Weidman from the basketball team will be here.
It's going to be great, but until then, we're going to introduce you to a team that we haven't talked about yet, the Indy Fuel. They're a part of the East Coast Hockey League, a professional league with 28 teams. The Indy Fuel have not gotten off to a hot start that they had hoped they were going to have. The Fuel have a record of 1-3-1-1 after the first 6 games of the season. Forward Robert Zarnik had recorded a goal in each of the first 5 games before the team was shot out on October 26th by the Fort Wayne Comets. The Fuel will be having an away stint, but will be back in the Coliseum on November 15th. We have a busy weekend ahead with college sports. Let's take a look at some of the key matchups in college football. As we are past the midway point of the college football season, it has become apparent that every win counts and that no one can afford to lose. 20 of the 25 teams in the AP Top 25 have 1 loss or less. Keep this in mind as we look at this week's games of the week. First off, we have unranked Stanford at number 5 Oregon. Now, this may seem like an easy win for Oregon, but Stanford is second in the nation for points against, averaging only 12.5. This will test the Ducks' high-powered offense. Because this is a must-win for the team, there's a little rivalry between these two teams. This could turn out to be an interesting game. The second game of the week is number 4 Auburn at 7th-ranked Ole Miss. Last week, Ole Miss was handed their first loss of the season by LSU, who Auburn blew out earlier in the year. It's a challenge for Ole Miss and their top-ranked defense to bounce back from this loss and work their way back into the top 5. With that, we go to Mark and Marco for our NFL update.
Hello and welcome to Mark and Marco's NFL Report. First game we're going to take a look at, Arizona at Dallas.
You know, I really like Dallas and the way they're playing, except for that little last hiccup they just had. You know, Tony Romo went down with an injury, but he's expected to come back against Arizona, and I think he can bounce back with a pretty nice game. In Dallas, they're ranked 32nd in the past, so I think Jason Witten and Des Bryant will be pretty good friends with Tony Romo after this game, and DeMarco Murray has been killing it.
Absolutely, but I'm going to go with Carson Palmer and the Arizona Cardinals. Carson Palmer was hot last game with 329 yards, 2 touchdowns. Larry Fitzgerald, their leading receiver, showed up big against the Eagles where they had a big-time win. And going into Dallas, Dallas just had a hiccup. I think they might stumble a little bit this week. I have the Arizona Cardinals. Next up, we're going to take a look at Denver at New England.
Now we're in New England. Tom Brady loves player. They've been playing pretty hot recently. They just gave a shellacking to my Chicago Bears. And I think that Gronk and Tom Brady is just a magical connection. I can't really see him getting stopped here by Denver.
Yeah, Manning and Brady are playing each other for the 16th time. Tom Brady's 10-5 against Peyton Manning.
Pretty solid.
And when Peyton Manning goes to Foxborough, he is 2-7. So I am going to take the Pats, and they have been hot, as you said. They beat the Bears.
I think New England's pass defense can really help slow down Peyton Manning, which is usually pretty much has to be the key to beat Denver.
Next up, Baltimore at Pittsburgh.
Baltimore at Pittsburgh. Baltimore ended up beating Pittsburgh earlier in the season, but Big Ben is finally playing like Big Ben. I mean, he just came off a monstrous game beating the Indianapolis Colts, and I really think I like Pittsburgh continue with this hot streak that Big Ben has been carrying them on.
I absolutely agree. Pittsburgh is 4th in passing yards in the league. The Ravens defense 22nd against the pass. So I see Big Ben having a big day against the Ravens defense, so I will also take Pittsburgh. The last game we're going to look at, the Colts travel to New York to play the Giants.
Andrew Luck has been playing pretty well all season, and he's really shown, even when they had a pretty bad loss against Pittsburgh, that they're never really down and out. Their offense and defense has been playing pretty well this year. I just think that they had also a little bit of a hiccup I think I can catch them bouncing back, though.
Andrew Luck is a great leader. I expect them to bounce back as well. I think it was a little bit of a hiccup on the defense and a fluke, to be honest. Vontae Davis went out, which was a huge loss for the Colts defense, and I believe that's why Ben Roethlisberger had such a big day with over 500 yards and 6 touchdowns. So Vontae Davis hopefully will be back for the Colts, and it should be a good one, but I have the Colts as well.
I think Vontae Davis was a key factor. I mean, in their previous week's matchup when they faced the Cincinnati Bengals actually a couple games ago, Vontae Davis played a huge role in that shutout. So I definitely think that Vontae Davis can be a key factor on their defense.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for tuning in to Mark and Marco's NFL Report.
Now we'll be kicking to the Front Row Hoopcast segment, and we'll be breaking down Butler's season as well as their first game Saturday.
All right, welcome to the Hoopcast segment on BU30. I'm your host, Artie Castle, joined by Marco Tomich and Brendan King. We're talking the season opener for Butler basketball, projected tied for 7th in the Big East this year. You know, I might be a Butler homer, but I think we're going to be better than that. You know, guys like Kellen Dunham are bound to improve. Roosevelt Jones coming back. We got a couple key freshmen coming in. I really see this team being a top 4 or 5 team in the Big East. Marco, what do you think?
I think maybe a 6 might be a little bit better spot for us. A jump like that is going to be a little bit tough after we're starting low and from last year. We do have some key pieces coming in, and as long as our big people start stepping up, like you said, like a Kellen stepping up and a Strabis, but we are going to have some chemistry issues. I mean, Rose did have a year off. He's got a new set of players that he's got to learn how to play with. I mean, he's never really played with Travis in an actual game or these freshmen. Brendan, what are you coming up with?
I think the focus here is Big East Conference play. Don't forget last year we looked like we were going to finish first in the Big East according to our non-conference play and schedule. It all went down after Oklahoma State, and then all heck broke loose. But I think the focus is Big East play and how we can perform and how the players can respond to last year.
I think another good thing is that Chris Holtman, I think we all have faith in him. I think this team's actually going to be better than a lot of people think this year. We're going to have to wait and see, though. For the Hoopcast segment on BU30, Marco Tomich, Brendan King, I'm Ari Castle. Thanks.
Butler women's club lacrosse team played their only 2 fall ball games this Saturday against Purdue University and Grace College.
2, 3, BUS!
For lacrosse, fall ball is a time for the team to practice and get adjusted to the new team members. The team traveled to Purdue on Saturday for their first game. The Bulldogs fought hard during the first half, only letting Purdue score twice, but digressed in the second half, ending in a 2-8 loss. Junior defender Megan Hart believes the team could have gave a better performance during the second half.
One of our issues was they beat us to a lot of the 50-50 balls, so they hustled a lot more. And then second half, our defense broke down a little bit because we weren't talking as much.
The team came back ready to fight against Grace College on Saturday, which resulted in an 11-6 win. President Kylie Gray is proud of her team and how they recovered after the Purdue game.
But in our second game on Saturday, 2 days after our first game, we really showed a lot of improvement already, and the girls really hustled on the field and made up for what they lacked at the Purdue game. So I think with a little bit more practice, we'll be really ready for this spring season.
The team will continue to practice through the rest of the fall and winter in order to be prepared for the spring season. Now we go to Marco with Andrew Strabitz and Tyler Weidman of the men's basketball team.
Hi, I'm Marco Tomich with BU30. I'm here with Tyler Weidman and Andrew Strabitz of the men's basketball team. Now, Andrew, with the departure of Eric Fromm being senior last year, how do you think that you can step up and fill his role a little bit more?
Yeah, Eric Fromm, he was a huge leader on and off the court. Did a lot for us on the court, just his toughness, just every day coming in ready to work. And off the court, he just taught us everything that we were supposed to do. So filling in for him, I think the biggest thing is just bringing the leadership qualities that he had and just keep on teaching people like Tyler the proper way to do things, like the Butler way. So
now you're gonna have a probably increased role in the offense. What have you been working on here in the off season to get better?
Yeah, just like the overall game, basically. Just keep on working on the perimeter stuff. I know there's going to be mismatches throughout the league. So just keep on working the down low stuff, footwork, everything like that, but as well as just try to get the jumper working. Yeah. So it's all
got to make it rain out there sometimes.
Exactly.
Now, Tyler, this is going to be your first time in the Big East. How do you think the coaches have been preparing you a little bit to get ready? And some of the older players like Andrew, have they been showing you a little bit of tips and tricks that they learned last year?
They have. They've been pushing me pretty hard. If I mess up, they let me know for sure. So they've been pushing me pretty hard.
Now, we have a pretty good recruiting class coming in this year with you, Jackson, and Keelan. How do you think that your guys' offensive games can help bring a little different dynamic to what the team had last year?
I think with the incoming freshmen we have this year, I think we can balance out the scoring more. It's not all on one person. Like with Keelan, he can spread the floor, and then with Jackson and myself, we can crash the offensive glass, get low post scoring in.
A lot of people are projecting you guys 9th in the Big East, a pretty low rating, similar to last year. It's hard to say after last year's performance, but do you guys think you can improve on that? And what do you have to really say to those people that think that you guys are going to be in the lower echelon of the Big East?
Yeah, I think we can improve on that. I think the team this year, well, I didn't know our team at last year on the court, but this year I think we have a lot of chemistry on and off the floor, and I think that comes to a big part of it.
Yeah, the chemistry is a pretty big part. Andrew, what do you think?
Yeah, very similar. Like, it's just a whole different mentality. Like, we going through it and being a part of the unsuccessful season, you learn a lot, and you figure out afterwards, more often than not, what you did wrong. And so after the season, we just got together, and we knew we couldn't let the same thing happen this season. So we're very excited. And it's a projection, but it's just motivation for us.
Talking about the upcoming season now, you guys are going to be able to play in the new renovated Hinkle finally. We got a game coming up here on Saturday against Chicago University. Talk to me about what you guys have been preparing for this team, Chicago matchup.
Oh, yeah, we know Chicago's going to be a great game. It might be a little sloppy, but we know that we have to just come in with a lot of energy. Do all the little things, like just crash the boards every time we can, get back on D, talk, do all the little things that Butler normally does just to prepare for the other games going forward into the season. And it's, like you said, Hinkle's renovated. It's going to be amazing, great crowd, and you can never complain about Hinkle, so it's going to be great.
Tyler, how excited are you for your first game?
I'm pretty excited to play on Hinkle for the first time, and my first college game. I'm pretty excited. It should be pretty fun.
Now, you guys have been going through, and you guys were being coached by Brandon Miller a little bit earlier. Now Chris Holtman's going to have to step in. Have you guys been able to smoothly keep going with your guys' practices and preparing for the season and not really have a bump in the road yet?
No, yeah, we've been more than fine. We've been practices. Every practice has been very, very tough, which we need. And it's just been very competitive, which just makes practices just that much more fun when it's always competitive, and it brings out everyone's best when you're pushing each other so much. So we haven't skipped a beat at all with that.
All right, thanks Tyler and Andrew for joining us here on BU30. We'll toss it back to you guys.
In Butler sports this week, the Butler volleyball team had a successful weekend on the road, defeating both Villanova and Seton Hall. In Friday's match against Villanova, the Bulldogs came out on top in 3, dominating their opponent in blocks and hitting percentage. On Saturday, the Bulldogs traveled to Seton Hall, where the Pirates are top-ranked in the Big East standings. Continuing her impressive offensive performance from the night before, Obert grabbed 14 kills on the match. Senior Erica Stahl was on fire on the net with 8 of Butler's 14 blocks. The win advanced the team's record to 16-7 and 8-3 in the Big East. The Bulldogs will tackle 2 road matches next weekend at Marquette and DePaul.
While the volleyball team is on the road, the women's soccer team will remain at home to finish up their conference play. The Lady Bulldogs tied the visiting Creighton Blue Jays last Saturday night, even after 2 overtimes. Both goals were scored in the second half of the game, the Bulldogs striking second. They finish up their season at the Butler Bowl on Friday when they take on Marquette.
The Butler football team is also getting ready to finish up their season in the next couple of weeks. Butler traveled to Drake University this past weekend in the annual Battle of the Bulldogs. Butler jumped out to a 10-7 halftime lead before 2 second-half scores lifted Drake to a comeback victory. This was the 3rd straight Pioneer Football League loss for Butler and dropped them to a record of 3-5 on the year and 1-4 in league play. The Bulldogs will look to rebound this weekend with Morehead State making their way on to the Butler Bowl. Make sure to come out to the Bowl and support the Bulldogs kickoff, which is at noon on Saturday.
Thank you for tuning in to BU30. We'll see you next time.
Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at ButlerSports30 and check out our website.